Welcome back to Bad Attitude C10. If y'all remember, a few weeks ago we installed or attempted to install the dash pad we picked up from Summit, but we ran into a few hiccups. So for a quick recap, if you remember, the dash pad came with the 7 mounting studs intact, and they did come with the cheesy little nuts to install it. The only thing was the hardware, the 4 screws and the J nuts that went into the dash itself to adhere it from the bottom were not included. So I attempted to use some J hooks that were actually, or J nuts, that were actually for my tail light bezels. And they have a tab on them, as you can see here, and every time I pushed down on the dash pad it would slide the hole down to where the screw could not go in a line to tighten the pad up. So after battling this for a while, I finally gave up and decided to just punt. Another problem I encountered before the J nuts was the dash pad was hitting the row bar, so I had to take a razor knife and do 2 small cuts on both sides of the dash pad to be able to notch the pad to where it would even go down onto the dash. Once the pad was notched, I did install 3 of the little keepers on the studs, and I tried to install the first screw in the new J nut that was actually for the taillight bezels, and it would not happen. Every time I pushed on the pad it went down. So I tried using the original J nut and it lined right up and everything was kosher. So that's pretty much when I moved forward. Now, one thing I did share were the locations of the 7 studs. So I'm going to run over that again real quick to where you can see them physically, and then I will show a picture showing kind of like a highlighted area where these guys are located, and that way you have a reference point. So that brings us today. So I found a dash bezel instrument panel screw and clip kit from Classic Parts of America, and after asking tons of people about the J nuts and stuff for the dash pad and nobody having any clue, I kind of looked at these and they look like they would work. So I'm gonna go ahead and cut this bag open, and it comes with the 6 J nuts and 6 screws for the instrument cluster panel or bezel, whichever way you want to say it. And I'll show you a comparison of it to one of the J nuts that were for the tail lights that we tried, and then we'll go over here and see if these things are going to work. So at first glance you can see right here that this J nut is a lot smaller than what I tried using last time, and the screws are kind of long, but the thing is, if it works, it works. And if this didn't work, I was planning on just putting a machine screw with a nylock nut on the back side of it and putting this thing together, and you know, that's what I was going to do. But the J nut or hook, whichever you want to say it, clip, clamp, you can see does not have that high tang that the other one did. So that tang, when the dash hit it, would slide it down over the hole. So let's go install these. So I had to start by removing all of the, or the 1 screw and the nuts off of a couple of studs that I installed originally before I gave up the last time I tried to install this dash pad. So I'll go ahead and time lapse this and get this knocked out and remove it, and we'll go from there. With the pad removed, I was able to get a hold of the tang on the J nuts that we tried to install, and using a pair of needle nose pliers, I removed them pretty easily. I then installed one of the instrument panel J nuts or clips, whichever one you want to call it. Didn't have a screwdriver handy, so I just used the needle nose pliers that I had earlier, and with a little bit of persuasion, it clipped right on. And as you can see, it bottoms out, and there's no way it can go down to where the hole's not going to be able to be hit by the screw. So I test fit the screw, and voila, it appears this might just work. So I moved over to the other one that's above the instrument panel and popped in it as well, and then we'll move forward. I know this seems like deja vu, but it was time to line these studs up and start again. And guys, these corners were a little harder for me because of the row bar, and it wouldn't be that bad for you. So I went on ahead and installed the 3 nuts that went in the far corner, the one next to the glove box latch and the one on the defroster vent side of the passenger side of the vehicle. and I just turned them to where they were a little snug, but not too tight. That way I could move the dash around when it came time to try to line up the screws on these new J-nuts. So here we go, the moment of truth, and I figured the first screw I'd put in would be used with the original J-nut. That way, I'd feel a little positive, like, hey, this is gonna work, but, fingers crossed, and we'll see what's gonna happen. So I did find out these screws are a little bit longer, and it takes a minute to get them in, but it worked on that one. So I moved over to the new one, and again, the alignment's kind of weird on this thing because of the angle that it goes, and I overshot it the first time, and it actually went above the clip. So I had to back it up and reposition it. So when I pushed down on the dash, this time it didn't move the clip like it did before. So I was pretty, I guess you could say confident that this is gonna work. And after the third time, which I guess was a charm, it actually started and went in. So I then tightened up the 3 nuts on the studs where the defroster vent was, the actual latch of the glove box, and then the one in the far corner on the passenger side. So with the passenger side buttoned up, it was time to address the driver's side. And guys, I do want to mention these screws and J-nuts, I cannot say are OEM and the actual part number that need to be used. But I will tell you this, they worked. And I'm confident enough in letting you know that if you run into this same dilemma that I had, and you can't find anybody that can help you get the right part, this might not be the right part, but it will work. So feel free to order them. And you get the whole little kit with the 6 nuts and the 6 screws for like $4.98. So instead of rigging it up like I was gonna end up doing with machine screws and nylock nuts, and then if, God forbid in the future something happened to me and somebody else got this truck and they need to change the dash pad out and it had the instrument cluster and all that stuff in there, there'd be no way to get to them, nylock nuts without disassembling the whole damn dash. So I was trying to, basically keep it as straightforward as possible in the way it should be done. So as you can tell, other than that corner one giving me a little bit of a pain in the butt, the driver's side went pretty flawlessly. So again, guys, this will work, and we're going to finish this video up. I'm going to kind of pan through so you can see the entire dash pad. And all in all, the quality of the pad I think is nice. I really did hate to have to cut it to clear the roll bar, but you got to do what you got to do. But it is a clean install and a pretty easy install with no instrument panel stuff and AC ducting and the radio to dodge. But I'm going to tell you, the corner ones are still a little bit of a pain in the butt. So all in all, I hope this video helps you out, and we'll catch you next time.